Terra Monster, and I like to make things. Do you want to learn how to screen print? I've been doing it for over 13 years, and today I'm going to show you how to coat photosensitive emulsion onto your screens so that you can expose your art on them. If that sounds cool to you, let's get coding. I'm currently in the dark right now with a safe light on because I am going to be mixing up some emulsion so that I can coat my screens. And this is a photosensitive emulsion, so this has to be done in the dark. Let me show you. So here I've got my emulsion, and this is water-based hybrid emulsion that I get from silkscreeningsupplies.com. I have been using this same emulsion since I first started 13 years ago. I've used a bunch of different emulsions over the years, but this is the one that works the best. And so once you get the lid off, which I'm not gonna lie is a pain in the butt. And I know that they put it on really tightly because this stuff cannot be exposed to light or it will ruin it. However, you're supposed to use like a penny or something and go all the way around the outside. And I always end up having to use like a wrench because I can't get leverage with just a penny. After you struggle for, a good 10-15 minutes trying to get the lid off, you are rewarded by this lovely pink emulsion. And so the thing about the emulsion is that you have to put diazo into it. And this is diazo. It's like a little yellow powder substance. That is the diazo. And the diazo is actually the part of the emulsion that is photosensitive. And the emulsion is just there to basically keep the diazo on your screen. So what you want to do is, it actually says right on it, diazo sensitizer. You fill this container 1/2 full with distilled water, and it has to be distilled. I don't know why, but it does. Let's just do that. Boop. Okay, halfway already. And then I put the lid back on and I just shake it up really, really good. Okay, and then all that powder is now a liquid. It's like brown liquid. And now I'm going to mix it into the emulsion. I'm gonna pour all of the diazo into the emulsion. And then you're gonna mix it like really, really, really slowly because I've made the mistake of mixing it too fast and the diazo just flies everywhere. And diazo stains everything it touches as soon as the light hits it. It's like this brownish yellow stain. So I really recommend not getting it on any surfaces if you can help it. In fact, usually I'll put like a piece of paper down for mixing this, but I was in such a hurry to show you guys that I forgot that step. And this is what you do. You just gotta mix and mix and mix. And when I mix, I try to pull up from the bottom as I'm mixing to really get it. You want to get it distributed as evenly as possible throughout the whole container. This pink stuff is the stuff that we are going to coat onto our screens. And the thing about mixing in the diazo to the emulsion is that it introduces air bubbles while you're mixing. So because you introduce air bubbles, you actually have to let the emulsion sit for a few hours before you can use it. Otherwise, when you coat your screen, you'll have bubbles everywhere. And you definitely do not want that. Now that it's all mixed, I'm going to put it somewhere where it will stay light safe. I'm going to put the lid on it. Not sealing it though, because I am not opening it again. I just kind of set it on top because it's going to go into a light safe spot in my basement to store. And then I am going to come back down here again tomorrow and I'll show you how I coat my screens, as well as show you the drying rack I made. So I'll see you soon. Bye. First, I'm going to take the emulsion that I mixed up yesterday. This awesome pink stuff is dual cure diazo emulsion. It's got a photosensitive chemical in it, and the pink part is the emulsion that holds that photosensitive chemical in place on the screen so that you can expose your art onto it. And you may have noticed the color of this video is a little bit different now, and that is because I'm currently using a bug light or a light safe light so that I can show you this without exposing it to any UV light, because UV light cures the emulsion, and if we did that while we were curing the screens, it would just ruin everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and pour it in very slowly and very carefully, as to not introduce any air bubbles. Always clean the lip up too, so keep some paper towels handy. And you might have noticed that I am doing this on a cardboard box, and that is because my scoop coater is really old and the ends of it leak just a little bit, no matter how firmly I press them on. And now we're going to take the emulsion and coat it onto the screen. The best thing to do is to make sure that it is evenly spread across your scoop coater. And then hold it firmly by the bottom. The angle is really important when you're coating a screen. You don't do it straight up. You want it to be at a 45-degree angle. You're going to use the sharper side of your scoop coater so that you can get a nice, thin, even coat on both sides that's not too thick. And now I've ran the emulsion back and forth as to coat both sides evenly. I'm going to press the sharp edge against the screen and at an angle, pull it upwards. Let's get that bead of emulsion on there. And you can see just how hard I'm pressing by the fact that I think my arm shook a little. But there you are. This is a perfectly coated screen on the front side. And now we're just going to coat the back side. Again, I'm making sure to run the emulsion so that it's completely even. Holding it at an angle and pressing firmly against it, while bringing it upwards. And that little shimmy that I do at the end is to scrape off that bead of emulsion. And there we have it. A perfectly coated screen, front and back. The next step is to put it into the drying rack. And we're just gonna stick this guy right on in there. And that's pretty much it. So you just coat the screen, leave it in the drying rack. I do have another tutorial on how I made this drying rack myself for under $70 and one trip to the hardware store. Kind of amazing considering they cost like $300 to $400 normally from a silkscreen supply place. And I also have a fan down in the bottom of it. I'm just gonna turn that fan on after I coat a few more screens, and it will blow the air up through my light safe unit And I usually will let them cure overnight, and then they'll be ready to have their images exposed onto them tomorrow. And now we're gonna coat one of my big boy screens. This is one of the largest screens I have. I think it's like 20 something by 32. It's great for like all over shirt prints. And once again, we're gonna make sure all of the emulsion in here is nice and level, and we have a nice bead of it right up on the edge of that sharp side of the scoop coater. And this one I'm gonna do facing towards you a little bit more. Okay, get that bead and then just push up. I always push against the scoop coater with the screen at the same time as I'm pushing the scoop coater into the screen at the 45-degree angle. Again, just making sure that's flooded evenly. Get that bead on there and push up. A little shimmy at the top. And I've got one little drip here. I'm just gonna get it with my finger. My scoop coater leaks, so I get little tiny drips on the edges. But it's on the edges, not in the middle. The middle's perfect, and that's what counts. So there it is, all coated and ready to be put in the rack. And then when we're all done coating, we are going to take the end off of the scoop coater and pour it all back into the emulsion container so that we can use it later. Your emulsion will usually stay good for up to about 6 months once it has been mixed together. The shelf life on it does not start counting until you've mixed the diazo into it. And to make sure I get it all, I use this little scoopy guy. Just push it all down in there. And I still have at least half a container of emulsion, and I have coated about 6 screens. I hope you enjoyed today's video on how to coat screens so that you can put your art on them, just like this little guy. Nom nom. Please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then ring that bell so you can get notified when I make new content. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.